Chapter 5. The Voice and the Messenger of the Covenant. And there came one as a voice crying in the wilderness, "Prepare ye the way of the Lord." Thus ever, a coming to Israel with a new and everlasting covenant. This was the theme of the ancient prophets, now unfolded. There was the voice crying in the wilderness of Ohio, just before the advent of the latter-day prophet. The voice was Sidney Rigdon. He was to Joseph Smith as a John the Baptist. The forerunner made straight the way in the wilderness of the Virgin West. He raised up a church of disciples in and around Kirtland. He led those who afterwards became Latter-day Saints to faith in the promises and baptized them in water for the remission of sins. But he had not power to baptize them with the Holy Ghost and with fire from heaven. Yet he taught the literal fulfillment of the prophecies concerning the last days and heralded the advent of the one greater than I. The same is he which baptizeth with the Holy Ghost. That is ever the one greater than I, be his name whatever it may. Joseph Smith baptized with the Holy Ghost. But Sidney knew not that he was heralding Joseph. And the prophet himself was but as the voice crying in the wilderness of the great dark world, "Prepare ye the way for the second advent of earth's Lord." His mission was also to make straight in the desert a highway for the God of Israel, for Israel was going up, following the angel of the covenant, to the chambers of the mountains. He came with a great lamp and a great light in those days, dazzling to the eyes of the generation that crucified him in its blindness. Joseph was the sign of Messiah's coming. He unlocked the sealed heavens by faith and election. He came in the spirit and power of Elijah. The mantle of Elijah was upon him. Be it always understood that the coming of Joseph Smith to restore the covenant to Israel signifies the near advent of Messiah to reign as King of Israel. Joseph was the Elijah of the last days. These are the first principles of Mormonism. And to witness of their truth this testament of the sisters is given, with the signs and wonders proceeding from the mission of him who unlocked the heavens and preached the gospel of new revelations to the world, whose light of revelation had gone out. But first came the famous Alexander Campbell and his compeer, Sidney Rigdon, to the west with the lamp. Seekers after truth, whose hearts had been strangely moved by some potent spirit, whose influence they felt pervading but understood not, saw the lamp and admired. Mr. Campbell of Virginia was a Reformed Baptist. He with Sidney Rigdon, a Mr. Walter Scott, and some other gifted men, had dissented from the regular Baptists, from whom they differed much in doctrine. They preached baptism for the remission of sins, promised the gift of the Holy Ghost, and believed in the literal fulfillment of prophecy. They also had some of the apostolic forms of organization in their church. In Ohio, they raised up branches. In Kirtland and the regions round, they made many disciples, who bore the style of disciples, though the popular sect name was Campbellites. Among them were Eliza R. Snow, Elizabeth and Whitney, and many more, who afterwards embraced the fullness of the everlasting gospel as restored by the angels to the Mormon prophet. But these evangels of a John the Baptist mission brought not to the West the light of new revelation in their lamp. These had not yet even heard of the opening of a new dispensation of revelations. As they came by the way, they had seen no angels with new commissions for the Messiah age. No Moses nor Elijah had been with them on a Mount of Transfiguration. Nor had they entered into the chamber with the angel of the covenant, bringing a renewal of the covenant to Israel. This was in the mission of the one greater than they who came after. They brought the lamp without the light, nothing more. Better the light without the evangelical lamp, better a conscientious intellect than the forms of sectarian godliness without the power. Without the power to unlock the heavens and the Elijah faith to call the angels down, there could be no new dispensation, no millennial civilization for the world, to crown the civilization of the ages. Light came to Sidney Rigdon from the Mormon Elijah, and he comprehended the light, but Alexander Campbell rejected the prophet when his message came. He would have none of his angels. He had been preaching the literal fulfillment of prophecy, but when the covenant was revealed, he was not ready. The lamp, not the light, was his admiration. Himself was the lamp. Joseph had the light from the spirit world, and the darkness comprehended it not. Alexander Campbell was a learned and an able man, the very form of wisdom, but without the spirit. Joseph Smith was an unlettered youth. He came not in the polished form of wisdom, either divine or human, but in the demonstration of the Holy Ghost, and with signs following the believer. Mr. Campbell would receive no new revelation from such an one, no everlasting covenant from the New Jerusalem which was waiting to come down, to establish on earth a great spiritual empire, that the King might appear to Zion in his glory, with all his angels and the Ancients of Days. The tattered and blood-stained commissions of old Rome were sufficient for the polished divine Rome, which had made all nations drunk with her spiritual fornications, Rome which put to death the Son of God when his Israel in blindness rejected him. Between Rome and Jerusalem there was now the great controversy of the God of Israel. Not the old Jerusalem which had traveled from the east to the west, led by the angel of the covenant, up out of the land of Egypt. The New Jerusalem to the earth then, as she is today. Ever will she be the New Jerusalem, ever will old things be passing away when the Lord cometh. And the angel of the west appeared by night to the youth, as he watched in the chamber of his father's house, in a little village in the state of New York. On that charmed night when the invisibles hovered about the earth, the angel that stood before him read to the messenger of Messiah the mystic text of his mission. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me, and the Lord, whom ye seek, shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, whom ye delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts.